realized throughout this week that when you start designing a building, or really most problems you do in a classroom environment, you're solving it by talking to each other and maybe sketching things on paper or looking at a computer screen. But I'd say like 90% of the problem solving that we end up having to do for a building happens physically in the space or in Home Depot. Because you really have to have that kind of tactile learning experience, and the way you solve problems is by actually putting physical pieces together and talking about it that way. This week we were going to finish the clerestory windows, and then we realized that there was a piece we didn't have from the company, and that's one of those huge holdups where you have everything you need but basically the piece you're about to use, and it's just a waiting game from there. Trying to figure out how to do our automated windows, and so finally this week, again holding the physical actuator, looking at the window finally installed, the pieces start to kind of come together on their own. So we figured out this way that we'd wire actually through the floor and then make the connections from below, which we would never have thought about unless we were physically looking at the problem.
Sticking out a little bit, all the way in.
That's good. I mean, it's a pretty simple process. Basically, you have to choose a piece of wood, dark light, so you kind of like arbitrarily choose, just making sure it doesn't match the one that you had before it. Then like for the sides, you actually have to make sure that whenever you have two boards sticking next to each other, you make the overlap to where you don't notice that there's an overlap from the perspective of like people that are walking beside the house, which can get a little confusing, so you have to kind of make sure you do that process right. And then after that, you like have all your cut pieces of wood or your side panels, and then you have to pre-drill all the holes because it's susceptible to breaking whenever you drill. And then after you countersink, you put it onto the wall finally, and usually with like some effort by like a couple of hands, we like pull the wood down to make sure that it's level, and then you screw those in and then like hope for the best that it's actually level, and if not, redo the process.
This way a little bit.
And now we're working on basically the plumbing for the kitchen and the bathroom, so sinks, dishwasher, washing machine, all those. The shower is what's going to be the hardest though, because we have the box that's like a digital display of like exactly how hot the water is in the shower.
On that screen will be your temperature, and you'll use those buttons to turn the temperature up and down.
Right now we're trying to figure out where we're going to mount that electronic box, because that's going to have to go up above the heat pump in the neck room, and so hopefully Brian can help us with that. Everything we try to do every day, there's a different problem that kind of pops up, and we have to figure that out. Yeah, buildings are just incredibly complex. In your head, you usually can conceptualize to maybe level A, B, and C in terms of detail. But then what's really missing is that level D through Z of detail, which you can really only get to after you've understood and actually completed level A through Z. What else happened this week? We found out there's rabbits in the house, which is really adorable. Hopefully we can domesticate them at some point and they become our team mascots.